You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Well, for all of you women entrepreneurs out there, make sure that you're taking care of yourself first, because regardless of how wonderful you are in business, if you're not taking care of your personal health, self-care, mental and emotional well-being, it doesn't make any difference how great your business is. Your business is there to help you live the life that you want. And if you want to have a great business, you've got to have great health to maintain that. So from time to time, I love to bring in people who specialize in healthcare, and especially women's healthcare, because it seems like women are more inclined than men to outserve and to overserve everyone else's agenda, and then they are left feeling empty and depleted. I don't want that to be the case with you. So today's guest is going to help us as we talk about women's health care beyond just the nurse's station or the hospital clinic setting. I'm speaking with Jamilla Webb. She is a registered nurse, certified doula, and writer based in New Orleans. She loves to travel, read, listen to indie hip-hop, and jazz, and she is beyond passionate about women's health. She is the founder of Her Health Nurse, and it's a real delight to have you. Jamilla, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Ralph, thank you for having me. I'm so happy and grateful to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your background, and especially Her Health Nurse. Her has a double meaning, and it represents something. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So, of course, her referring to women, but the acronym or abbreviation itself, HER, HER stands for Health, Education, and Reproductive Justice. And what I do with my business, Her Health Nurse, I provide reproductive justice-based health education to girls and young women between the ages of 10 and 25. And because of what I do, my clients are empowered to make reproductive health choices with confidence.
That really sounds fascinating. Now, I think you're going to have to educate us. What is reproductive justice? I don't think I've ever heard that combination of words before. That's a very unique turn of phrase there. What is reproductive justice?
Okay, yes, absolutely. So there is an organization based in Atlanta called Sister Song, and it was founded by a cohort of women of color to bring about a policy change and awareness and improvements that needed to be made in women's health, specifically when it came to sexual health and reproductive health. And so reproductive justice, defined by Sister Song, is the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and then parent the children that we have in safe and sustainable communities. And so that can run the gamut from abortion access, contraception, and birth control, comprehensive sex education that incorporates so many different things.
So reproductive justice is really about human rights and women's rights, reproductive rights, and making sure that women, wherever they are, whoever they are, that they have equal access and equal opportunity to make these decisions and then to be supported in that.
Absolutely, and you said it perfectly. It's definitely health access and care informed with human rights. Absolutely correct.
Tell us about your journey. How did you get interested in nursing, and then what drew you into women's health and then reproductive justice?
Okay, So that was a bit of a story. I started off in psychology in college and was part of a government program for college students. I was originally from Washington, D.C. And so one year in May, I found out that my summer position had been eliminated. Well, May is a mighty short time from the summer starting. So I went home crying to Mom, my summer job with the government was eliminated. You know, I don't want to work in a restaurant. I wanted to do something productive. What can I do? And so my mom said, well, Jamilla, why don't you go to school to become a CNA? It's only a month-long course. You'll learn anatomy and different things. It'll provide you a way to help people. It's fulfilling work, and it may pique your interest in nursing because my mom is a nurse as well. And so I took my CNA course over the summer. I worked briefly in a nursing home, and I loved it so much that I decided to change my major from psychology to nursing. So that's how I ended up following in my mom's footsteps.
Wow. What a great story. What a great story. So so you took that, which could have been a disappointment, but you turned it into an opportunity, and you got just enough experience with that to realize that this is what you wanted to do with your life and your career.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about who you work with. I know you're in New Orleans, and you're working with women, but who is a good prospect? Who uses your services, and how exactly do you go about providing your services?
Okay, sure. So my services are perfect for individuals who want personal guidance, and this would be like ladies maybe 18 to 25, college students, graduate students, professional women, and then also groups, churches, aftercare programs, organizations that cater towards young girls who could utilize or benefit from information on health and hygiene, contraception, STI prevention testing, and things of that nature.
Wow. So that is a lot for one person to deal with. How do you keep up with all of that?
You know, I take it one step at a time. One thing I will say is Her Health Nurse is based on evidence-based studies and best practices. And so with me being a hands-on clinician, I'm able to bring a lot of those real-life experiences that I have dealing with patients out into the community. So the most recent position that I held was as a nurse in one of the busiest STI clinics in New Orleans. And I would share with, just folks in general all the time that usually by the time folks ended up with me, it's kind of late because maybe exposure to a infection or a pregnancy scare or pregnancy has already occurred. And in many of these situations, I found that if these young women had access to this information prior to being sexually active, or just in general, that possibly STI exposure, unplanned or unwanted pregnancy, and other health ailments and concerns may not have been an issue or could have been handled differently.
So it seems like that there are so many problems with healthcare and with certain socioeconomic status people who don't have the same opportunities and don't have the same access that others do with the people that you're working with. And I know there's all kinds of problems, but is there a common problem or a major obstacle that it seems like you're having to solve with just about everyone that you're working with?
Oh, yes. And this is actually how my business was created. And so I'm going to start back a little bit with a backstory. So I'm originally from D.C., and I finished my nursing diploma as an LPN and my nursing degree in a community college there. I then moved to New Orleans to finish my bachelor's at LSU, and I've been here going on 9 or 10 years now. So D.C., like New Orleans, has some of the highest HIV/AIDS rates and STI rates in the United States. But one of the biggest ways that D.C. kind of differs from New Orleans is that STI testing, prevention, education, and even access to condoms on schools' campuses totally varies. DC is more vocal when it comes to sexual testing, sexual STI testing, education, and outreach. And with Louisiana being a Catholic parish and with other restrictions, there's no standardized sex education here. Sometimes I find that many people experience a lot of stigma and shame when it comes to talking about their reproductive health. And so the biggest issue that I see is the abundance of misinformation from poor sources on social media and the internet, and then the lack of appropriate basic information.
Very interesting. So I went to graduate school in American University in Washington, D.C. Of course, it's a liberal.
Okay.
It's a liberal, kind of a metropolitan area. And so that's a big difference from Louisiana. More religious, more conservative, I would imagine, being in the South. I'm actually from the South, so I kind of understand the South as well as the North because I lived in the North. And then Washington, D.C. is that cosmopolitan in-between place. But it was interesting when you mentioned the Catholic influence and some of the ways that manifests itself. What can people begin to do to overcome these challenges that are societal or religious or moral or whatever reason? What I'm getting at is, regardless of what we may believe or how we may see the world, I'll be honest, people are going to have sex. They're just going to, right? So,
yes.
So, trying to build a strategy around getting people to stop doing what they're going to do is not going to work. And so that's why a practical approach that meets people where they are and helps them with wherever they're at makes more sense to me than trying to change human behavior. And maybe that speaks to why you left psychology and the study of human behavior towards nursing to be more of a practical help to people wherever they are. So that's a lot of pontificating on my part, but I want to ask, what can people begin to do right now to begin to overcome this lack of awareness, lack of access? What can they be doing to better understand and participate in taking responsibility for their health, whether it's prevention or whether it's trying to get something treated after the fact?
Yes, and Ralph, thank you so much, because all of your comments fall directly in line with what some of the things that I was going to say and just my values. So the first thing that I wanted to say is, we as a human family, a human race, are all valuable, whether someone is Catholic, atheist, Muslim, Christian, whatever. And so me mentioning Louisiana being a Catholic parish, I don't want anyone to receive that as me looking down on or saying anything negative about that faith or religion. I think that all religious beliefs, all human beings, we're valuable, and that's what makes us so special, is how different we are, but yet how we're all so similar.
That's
so
right.
That's the first thing. Human rights, and then we're all one human family. The second thing I wanted to say, and piggyback of what you said, is sex is natural. It's a natural human thing. Sexual urges, being sexual, sexuality, all those things are part of the human experience. And so I tell my clients in the STI clinic that please don't be ashamed. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Sex is pretty much how all of us got here on this earth. So the important thing is making sure that you do so in a healthy way with consent, and then knowing your responsibility to yourself and to your partner or partners. Getting tested. All sexually active people should get screened at least once a year. Even if you're in a long-term monogamous relationship, you go to the dentist for your teeth twice a year, or at least you should. You go to get your annual physical. You should do the same thing with your sexual health. One analogy I tell my younger patients is, you go to the hair salon or barbershop to maintain and keep your hair healthy. You put gas in your car. You take your car to the mechanic. your body is much more valuable than your car.
That's right. And you can't replace your body once it
And
gets messed up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just seeing that you're human, going to get tested, that's the first thing. Something else that I wanted to mention is for parents of children, talk to your children about sex, allowing shame, silence, or even social media to be the primary influences in your child's sexual knowledge or their awareness is not the way to go. And if as a parent or legal guardian, you're not comfortable talking about sex and sexuality with your children, then, bring them to a clinic. A midwife, a GYN, a nurse can provide that education. Sometimes even social workers and therapists can provide, our young people with the education that they need to be informed and to remain healthy.
That is really good practical advice, and especially with parents. And parents say, "Well, I'm uncomfortable, or I don't know enough about it." Then do the same thing that you would do in any other area of life that you don't know. You get help. You reach out. You take your children to a nurse or a clinic or someone who has the information that they can help that you're not comfortable with. That may be the best approach anyway for a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely. And then the last piece of information that I wanted to give folks, and this is so hard because everyone does it, is Google is not your doctor. Folks will Google and ask Google questions. And the thing is, the internet is an amazing source of information, but it all depends on what website that you go to. Everything online is not accurate. Everything online is not true or evidence-based. And so whenever I educate clients or my patients on using the internet, make sure that you use it responsibly, and then knowing what medically informed or nursing informed and evidence-based websites you can use that are providing up-to-date, accurate information. And so before the show ends, whenever appropriate, I did have a couple of websites that I wanted to give folks that are trustworthy, that are created and maintained by health professionals.
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be really valuable because you're right, especially with teenagers. And well, even
Yes.
some adults, even my mother-in-law, right? We tend to go to Google and let Google diagnose our problems. And Google is just a search engine. It's only going to put out what people put in, and you don't know the people that are putting it in. So you don't know if the information you're getting is right. So you want to recommend a couple of websites that would be useful and would also be okay to check out and to take information from. So let's have those.
Thank you. So I have 4 websites for everybody. So the first one is by the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, and they are a leading authority on health and disease in the United States. And so I'm giving the one specifically on STDs to help dispel myths. They have a lot of user-friendly and easy-to-read guides and things for folks. So their website is www.cdc.gov/STD. Okay.
Perfect.
The next website that I want to give is Amaze, which is AMAZE.org. And Amaze is an amazing resource that was created to provide health education for youth from as young as 5 on up to teenagers. And they have all types of amazing videos, infographics and things on puberty, sexual orientation, relationships, STDs, and HIV. I really love Amaze. So that's amaze.org. The next one is youngwomenshealth.org, and that is a really good site on different women's health issues, whether you're having difficult periods, tender breasts, maybe some other issues, young women's health. And then I didn't want to leave out men because there may be some men listening, but the last site for men is called youngmenshealthsite.org, and that's site, SITE.
Wonderful. I'm writing these down so I can check them out later. That's cdc.gov/STD for Center for Disease Control, amaze.org, youngwomenshealth.org, and youngmenssite.org.
Youngmenshealthsite.org.
Young Men's Health Site. Perfect. This has really been eye-opening, and I feel like I've gotten a full education here in just the few minutes that we've been talking. So I really appreciate, I appreciate the value that you've brought to the conversation, but also the perspective and the fact that you're out there actually solving real problems with your business. I think that is fantastic, and I encourage you to keep up the good work. And I really appreciate you being on the show today. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yes. And so, of course, I wanted to plug my business. If there are any parents, families, or groups based here in New Orleans that care for girls between the ages of 10 and 25, and you feel that your organization, your group could benefit from a health education session with me, you can go to my website, which is www.herhealthnurse.org, and book your session. I have sessions ranging from health and hygiene, STI prevention, consent, puberty, all kinds of things. I have options listed on my website, and then I also can create custom sessions as needed. And then the last thing, is just whatever your dream is, whatever your hope, goal, or vision is, not to give up. I encountered a lot of crises, a lot of trials and tribulations to complete my nursing degree. I shared one earlier with Ralph, how I even got started in nursing. I lost my job, didn't know what I was going to do, and ended up finding my life passion. So it may sound cliche, but truly, do not give up on your dream, and that there is no one path to success. The possibilities are as infinite as we are.
Very true. I've been speaking with Jamilla Webb. She is a public health nurse, a certified doula, and a writer based in New Orleans. She is the founder of Her Health Nurse, and you can find out more at herhealthnurse.org, and we'll have that link on the Rebelpreneur website as well. Jamilla, thank you so much for being on the show today, and continued best wishes in your work and in your business. Thank you so much for serving and helping other people.
Ralph, thank you for having me, and thank you to the listening audience for joining us.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.